All right, it is great to be here with you, Cullen. We're finishing up the first quarter. It's March 30th, right? 30th. So one more day, March 31st, and our quarter finalizes. First quarter for a lot of people going for Master UFO, and of course we're getting ready for the Stay the Course, Stay Focused, Stay the Course 53 challenge that's going to start as well.
It just first quarter just flew by. I don't know about you, Jim, but I mean, when you're building and you're making things happen, and of course, with everything we have going on and building, it just seems like the days fly by, but we're having a ton of fun and ton of momentum being created at the same time with everybody. And I love seeing all of the interaction within all the different Facebook groups across, North America, across the world at this point, where everybody's sharing about their successes and cheering each other on. That's hugely
important. I do too. It's fun. You and I have talked about this a lot, obviously, as we're coming out of being enclosed for so long, coming out of this pandemic, and now having the ability to be in person again with people and to be able to do things like we're doing tonight with Zoom. And you're really getting the best of both worlds right now. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let me do this, guys. Let me introduce Cullen. I think most of you know Mr. Happy Haskins, who's with us, and he goes by Happy, and you'll notice he's always smiling. That's one of the reasons why, but very proud to be spending the night with him tonight, going through this, and with you, sharing with you. He is our director of our GMTSS, and he is a director, which is 18 to 25,000 in a 4-week pay cycle. And of course, I'm Jim Winkler. I'm vice president of sales with the company. So again, we're happy to be with you. Tell us where you're from in the chat. Tell us where you're from in the chat. Oh, we got people.
Yeah, love to see where everybody's chiming in from in the chat. Yeah. So great. So many different places chiming in, from Connecticut to Brooklyn, New York to New Hampshire in the house. We got Canada. Starting to warm up in Canada, they're thawing out up there a little bit, maybe. Oh, look, there you go, Jim. Phoenix, Arizona, one of your neighbors at your second place down there.
All right, that's where I am right now. I'll tell you, I like it here where it's nice and warm, at this time of the year, as you do. We're both Midwesterners, but Cullen sort of transplanted to Florida, and I'm spending a little bit of time in Arizona. I guess that's one of the beauties you have. If you build your business and you build it the correct way, it does give you the ability to take it, as our founder and owner always says, and have a digital office wherever you are, right, Cullen? And I mean, sometimes that's by the pool, sometimes that's somewhere else, but it's a great place to have it.
I'll tell you what, no territorial restrictions on that thing. Anywhere we're able to build and unfranchise. And, it's been 75 degrees approximately, and very, very low humidity in Florida over the past couple of weeks here, and just absolutely gorgeous out. So no regrets on my end, Jim.
That's great. I see Ken Cops is with us from Michigan. Ken, are you coming to the regional? I need to know. Are you coming to the regional? I'm putting you on the spot, brother.
I'll tell you what.
I want you to be a regional challenge winner, Ken.
That's it. I was super impressed with Ken at last year's regional when he shared some on stage. He's got a great voice and a great attitude, always bringing his smile and playing at 100% as well. So love Ken Cops.
He's got a radio voice, Ken, as we love. Well, Cullen, let's jump into this. And, again, we're really proud of everybody who's completing this session. And if you've been with us for all of them, great. If you're just hopping on tonight or you're catching us on Facebook, that is wonderful. One of the nice things we've done with this, and Dennis and I did this last time as well, Cullen, but we've put this into a YouTube series, as you know. So there's one from last year, a 12-week series. There's one from that we're finishing right now that'll be a 12-week series. So you can go back, you can catch up on it. And, I want to give a shout out to all the trainers that have been on here during these past 12 weeks, yourself included. But I mean, whether it be Dr. Deidre Mason, whether it be Lisa Martin, Andrew Weissman, Kevin Buckman, I'm scared I'm going to miss people. Melanie Nelson, by Lee Rader, Jason Pellin, and I'm going to stop there. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to name everyone, but boy, have we had just, the top of the top to lead you through these 12 categories. And that's really why I would recommend, if you have missed some of them, maybe go back and catch those and be able to see them. But tonight we're going to jump into leadership and effective imprinting. And, this is vital for the long-term growth of your business. Of course, moving product, always going to be one of our vitals. Expanding our business, prospecting and sponsoring, always going to be huge. But leadership and effective imprinting, which is duplicating, there's not really, I wish there was a clear definition, don't you, Cullen? Like, what's a leader? If people say to me, what's a leader, and you want to tell, you want to try to give an answer, but it comes in different ways. And we always assume there's leadership if there's success or a victory. Now, and a lot of times there is, but sometimes it just happens. To me, sometimes the leader isn't always the person that's winning right away. They're the person that's continuing to go forward and bring people with them until they win. And that's where these unique life stories come in. The purpose of what they're doing. I'm very purpose driven, as I know you are, Cullen, and that really becomes something. For me, my purpose is to fill that arena with directors. It's the same one I've had for a long time. I'm passionate about it. In fact, passion's a tattoo. My wife says I'm okay to put on my arm because I believe in it. So you're laughing at me, Cullen.
There you go. Come on, Jim.
It's life. Life is about passion and purpose, and that's really what leadership is. And be yourself. Tonight, Cullen and I are going to have some fun. We're going to laugh a lot. We're going to teach you some great things, but you got to be you. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be happy. Try to be the way you like to be when you're doing things, and it'll come through while you're doing it, and you'll be leading. You'll lead because you're a great follower, to tell you the truth.
Absolutely. And I think JR even had a post today: as you are becoming the leader, never forget to still stay the student. And I think that's so profound. And I think it's something all of us has learned, because I don't know how many times I thought I had something right and I was going the right direction, and then get together with a group of leaders who are also making things happen. But yet then you're like, oh man, that's such a great way to tweak that. And I didn't think of that. But I'm 100% open and transparent and always willing to learn from other people. No pride, no ego in the game. I think when I think of a lot of great leaders, because not about them, it's always, it's about you personally, taking responsibility and wanting to be better, but it's also always about the whole, the group of people as we lead an organization or lead a company for that matter. So, and this is so true. Many have the capacity of leadership, and you don't wait for the tap on the shoulder. Something comes in front of your face, and then there you see it and you have the vision, and I'm going to go out and make it happen. And this is another key point too. Thousands of studies have been done trying to attempt to identify what are the exact leadership qualities. And there's hundreds of books probably at this point. I know John Maxwell has a great one I've referenced numerous times, and he has some top characteristics to look at. But I definitely feel like, it is about integrity. It's about being a person of your word. It's about having a big heart and being willing to put your heart out there. But it's also the double-edged sword of entrepreneurship, because as we want to work into a leadership role, so therefore we can pass the baton to other people, we have to also be aware that as we do that, to not let the ego get in the way and say it's about me needing to be the show. I'm more than happy to step aside and let somebody else get up in front, but it's a delicate balance, isn't it, Jim?
It really is. A couple things I agree with you so much on. One thing I love to say is, in a corporate environment, people always want to be indispensable. They want to be so good, they think that nobody can replace them. In our business, if you're doing a good job, you eventually want to be almost invisible. You become the cheerleader. You become the person who's rooting them on, but you rise them up rather than it always being about you, because you want them to become the next star, the next superstar, and doing that. And you said something, Cullen, before that I really want to hit on with people. If you want to be a leader, you're going to need to be a reader. And if you're not a reader, you're going to need to watch YouTube videos or listen to podcasts, because we've got to keep learning. I got to tell you this story because it just happened an hour ago. So we're in Arizona, and I had about an hour between wrapping my day up and then getting ready for this. And I said to Lisa, I said, it's still warm out. I'm going to go out to the pool and I'm going to relax, Cullen, right? I
Oh,
said,
come on.
I'm not going to look at my phone. I got an hour. I'm going to sit here and relax. No sooner do I sit down and Lisa's not here. She comes in, I'll pull her in here. Then a guy comes into the pool and says, Jim Winkler. I'm like, and all these people are around me. I'm like, yes, I am. He goes, you changed my life with a seminar. He goes, in Brookfield,
Wow.
Wisconsin, I came to a couple things you did, and you told me to read, and you told me to listen. And he said, I'm down here right now because everything changed because I took it on myself to be the person I needed to be. And I thought, you know what? And it wasn't about Market America. It was about him and what he
Right.
was doing. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
I love that. When I say it's not about Market America, he wasn't saying Market America changed. It's like what changed his life was him taking that leadership role of reading and listening and learning. And I think it's so important for all of us.
So
But there went my
huge.
hour of free time. We ended up talking for a whole bunch.
Hey, there you go. Well, you know, and there again, blessings come when we least expect it, right? And that's another thing people have to recognize is we're always leaving that ripple around, and some people may choose to go a different direction in their life, and that's okay. But many people, obviously, like all of us committed people to the unfranchised, are staying focused and, of course, staying the course. But either way, we are a leadership company. That's what it's all about, right, Jim?
Of course it is. And, you know, it's really, as we talk about our best leaders and you think about that, that's what we're rising up right now. That's what you are going to be, the people who are on here with us, Cullen, because, you know, it's a Wednesday night. They're taking an hour of their time. They're saying, I want to be better. I want to learn more. I want to bring this in, and then taking it and moving with it. And that's really what it is, team. And we know you can do it.
That's right.
You know, when you look at a leader, they typically know the way. So Cullen and I have talked a lot tonight about, in a very short period of time, about making sure you're reading. I love you mentioned John Maxwell, one of my favorite leadership trainers that I've listened to. Of course, you know, JR would be up there, and Dennis was up there always. And, you know, but John Maxwell's so good. They go the way, meaning that they're doing it, and then they're showing other people how to do it, and they inspire a movement. I love that one video. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Colin, where the guy just starts dancing and all of a sudden everybody's looking at it, he's crazy, and all of a sudden another person starts dancing. The next thing you know, one by one, it becomes a whole movement because people just said, you know what, they're having fun and they're doing it. We can create a movement of doing great things and having fun doing it, and our example is followed. So you do have to be aware. What you're doing is being looked at. You do have to be aware that as a leader, you have responsibilities. You know, I've heard people say, well, I didn't want to be a role model or whatever. Well, that comes with being a leader. It's part of what you do, and you can do it in a great way as well. Cullen, you do a tremendous job as a leader of our GMTSS. I got to say that. I mean that. You're so good at what you do with this. Appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you, Jim. And I think, you know, in the end, I think it's like what we've been hitting on here is this all about what are we passionate about? And then leading by example with our business, first and foremost, as we're all mastering and working into the basic five. But then as we do that, then automatically we move into more of a leadership role within the GMTSS, let's say. And to me, that when I looked at the people that were really excelling and doing great with the business, they were all an active member within the GMTSS. And of course, you were one of them, Jim. I mean, being from the Midwest, Trinity and I were always looking up to you and Lisa up there in Wisconsin. And it's like, if they can do it, we can do it. Scared to death,
Right.
But we can do it.
Yeah.
Just follow what everybody is doing before us and have fun in that process, I think is another key element. So,
you know, Cullen, if I could add to what you just said, you know, and you probably don't want to push on this too much because you're the director of the GMTSS, but I can do it. You know, as we come out of this, your local areas are really going to need people to step up and become part of a leadership team again and help out and do different things. And, you know, guys, call your local coordinator, say, hey, what can I do when we're having that next live local seminar? Call your UBP coordinator. Hey, I heard we're going back with some live ones. What can I do to support the team? And that's taking the leadership role. That's stepping up and doing that and being part of the leadership council. I want to recommend that for everyone, because it also puts you in, as Lauren always says, the right atmosphere, the right people to be around. It's so important.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Jim. 100% correct. I think so often people think, everything's already being covered. And so they, what value could I add maybe sometimes, and in the end, don't assume anything's being covered. Just know that we're looking for great heart-centered people just like you to make that phone call and reach out. And then we're gladly find a spot for you on the team that fits in your wheelhouse that you would be excited to do. There's many roles within putting on our events. And the other piece of it is, if you think the event could be better, then you better be a part of the GMTSS, because you shouldn't be offering advice on something if you're not willing to come help make it, the best in the world, which is obviously what we're striving for. So there are some select requirements here. So we want to have an understanding of the unfranchised business as we develop into becoming a leader. We need to have belief in the unfranchised business system, and then we have to have belief in the company. So within the GMTSS, that's where I'm saying we're belief coordinators, we're belief speakers. And so you, as an unfranchised owner, you have to become a believable unfranchised owner, because people are buying you. No matter if you get them on the Zoom with Jim and I, they're still ultimately going back to you to say, do I trust this person? Would I follow this person? I introduce other people to this person. So as a team, we're obviously greater, but we still have to posture up, I think is what I would say there, Jim.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think you get a lot of that with what we've talked about. People say, well, if I'm reading and I'm learning all this different stuff, is that really me? It will become you. You can become what you want to be. You can decide what you want to be. And that's having that belief in yourself and the belief that you can achieve in our unfranchised business system. I'll tell you, the other day I was talking with Drayton Hodo, Cullen, and Drayton's a great young man and has some great philosophy, but we were talking about, some people saying, well, the real estate market's hot, so I'm doing real estate, or they're doing this. And he said to me, he said, Jim, I just don't get it. And I love this, because this is my mentality. He said, why don't they just double their effort in Market America, and it'll go on and keep paying them, and they're already good at it, yet they're trying to find another side hustle to be good at, when all you got to do is really get good at this one, and you can do it,
I think a lot of times when you think about that, and most entrepreneurs would say that, and I should say most successful entrepreneurs would say, one of the things that is the dagger in a lot of people's business is they try to do too many things. And a lot of times I think people do that, Jim, as an excuse ultimately, because if I'm rowing my boat 4 different directions and then something isn't doing so well on a few of my directions, and it's easy for me to say, well, it's just because I have so much going on. When in reality, you should be focused on, and I heard this from a trainer a few years back at a school I went to outside of Market America, just working on my mindset always. And he said, get one done. Get one done. Like, why are we trying to row so many boats,
And I agree. Let's get one done. Let's get one center done, right?
That's right.
That takes care of a lot of challenges. I see Mark Aliotta on here. Mark, it was good talking to you yesterday as well. And I saw Terry Strange on here. I'm just calling out a few people. It's nice to see Cullen, Terry. I'm hoping I'm going to see you at the regional. I'm going to keep calling people out about that regional. There's Cullen, less than 40 tickets left. I told you that.
I know, Northern region coming out strong out of this last couple of years. I love it. So let's talk about what the difference is between a manager and a leader. Now, we've been talking already a lot about what a leader looks like, but what would be the difference in Market America from a manager to a leader? And I think it really boils down to if somebody's actively growing the business and doing the basic 5, putting in their 10 to 15 hours a week and doing result producing activities, I think you're in the game, you're making things happen. But what happens is, as you're doing that, it's a natural tendency. So this is normal, but you kind of fall into management mode where it's sometimes easier to just, I'm going to go tell everybody else what to do. but then I'm not going to continue to do the result producing activities. It's one of the worst mistakes you can make as far as slowing all of the momentum that you just worked really hard to get going. And so what I would say is, stay away from management mode. Yeah, we have very few management type activities. And of course, we're always doing things to help the team as a manager, but we just don't sit there and focus 10 to 15 hours a week, you guys, as a manager of your team. So that's what I would say there. What do you got, Jim?
So good. And, think about your life. You've probably worked for, my dad told me something when I was really young. He said, your job will be as good as your boss. And he said, if you have a good manager, it'll be a great job. If you have a bad manager, the same job can be horrible. But he said, if you have a great leader, you'll do anything for them. And that's what you really want to be, the leader. You want to be the one who, when someone says, well, I don't know if I want to buy that ticket, you've already bought it, because then you can say to them, well, I've already done it, so let's do it together. When they say, I don't know if I can show the plan, you say, I've been learning, let's do it together. Because they can't tell you, they can't make an excuse if you've taken it away by doing it. And that's really what I would call leadership, is by doing rather than telling. When you, Cullen?
Absolutely. And one last point I want to make too that came up for me is, and it's something to be aware of. And I'm sure this is none of you that are listening in on this live or on the recording, but sometimes people can, as they fall into manager mode, they get into micromanager mode, and you actually sabotage your teammates. You're too over the top with them, instead of really looking at what are their goals, what do they want out of the business, and help them get to their goals. It can't be, well, you need to do this because it's going to help me achieve whatever my goal is. That's never going to work. So, and people have a boss outside of the business as well. And you don't want to come across as the boss. And so be very careful in how you treat your people. And going back to Mom's old adage there of, like, treat people how you would want to be treated as well, as we love on people, but still encourage them to play at 100%. Whatever that 100% looks like for them, of course, as we challenge them to hit their goals, right?
Yeah, such good wisdom with what you just talked about. People do have most people are working a full-time job already. One of my goals has always been for Market America to be their fun, to be something they look forward to, something they feel good about and accomplished about, not getting beat up on what they didn't do at a job or whatever. So we want to make this, that's a difference. And there's a difference between a leader and leading, you know what I mean? And the real difference is, a leader is doing all the right things. When someone's leading, they're showing you what to do. But there's a difference between going for it and being visible about it. And that's what we're doing. It's the modeling that comes into it, Cullen. So good. And, that's what we want to do. It's what you're doing right now. Right now, you have the ability where you could say to someone on your team, man, you have got to watch this segment I was on. And you're not calling them and saying, hey, you should watch this, but I wasn't on. I always called offense versus defense. And Cullen's heard me talk about this, but to me, leading is playing offense. Leading is, I need to go out and I need to present the business plan to X number of people. I got to know what my number is to show it. I've got to generate new customers. I've got to go for the 53 challenge. That's playing offense. Defense is what a lot of us did the last 2 years, and we're probably mad at ourselves. We probably beat ourselves up a little bit. Forgive yourself. You know what? It was a tough 2 years, and there was a lot of things going on. Forgive yourself and say, you know what? I'm not going to play defense anymore. I'm not going to hope it happens. I'm not going to beg someone to do something. I'm going to go out and make it happen. And that's leading.
So great. Love it. And then we also need to know the difference between waiting, stable, and a go now on franchise owner. And of course, waiting people are just what it says. They're waiting, and they may be waiting for a while. And so we can't wait on people that are waiting. We can love those people, but we're going to love them where they're at. A stable and franchise owner loves the products, loves the company, loves our training system. They love the people. They want to be in the environment. They want to be in the energy. They're stable and they ain't going anywhere most of the time. But I want to acknowledge the stable people because they're still showing up. They're still playing at their 100%. It's fulfilling their reason why that they're an unfranchised owner. And then we move into the go nows, and the go nows are the ones who are mastering the basic five and working the basic five, cohesively together. And how do we balance that out and build into the basic five? And the great news is no matter where you're at, you can bob and weave or move and shift into different categories, depending upon different things that go on in our lives.
And you can be one of these categories. I know there's times I've been stable. There's times I've been incredibly go now. Maybe even times I was waiting, not too many waiting, more stable and go now. But I think we all fall into these sometimes, and that's okay. Don't, like I said, forgive yourself and get yourself in a pattern of go now. I'm going to give an example of leadership, Cullen. I see Maria Kepis is on here. Her and her husband, Mike, you know, right? From Chicago.
Love Mike and Maria. Yeah.
Love them. Love them. Well, so I'm in Arizona and I called them up. They're the UBP coordinators. I said, it is time. We need to get an in-person UBP going. And I was waiting for I don't know, I'm not sure. And they're like, you're right. Let's get after this. Let's do it. And I mean, within a day, they called me up. Okay, I found a place. Here's the date we've got. We can book it on this date. And they're rearranging for my schedule. And I just want to give you guys a shout out. That is what leadership is. You took the position. You said, okay, I'm ready to break through the barrier now. Let's get this going. And I'm really proud of you. And I just wanted to say that because you are showing the difference.
And you know what, Jim, and that's a great lesson for everybody listening into this to say, am I playing at that level? And look, even though maybe my area doesn't have an in-person UBP, could we be doing an in-person, home event,
right,
with 4 or 5 people around the kitchen table? We're not going to wait around for someone else to come in and tell us what to do on our home event. Let's say we're just going to say, you know what, I'm just going to start doing them 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s, or get with my team and let's make it happen. That's a
right.
key element.
Just start doing it. And the people who want to be there will be there, right?
That's it. 100%.
And we talked about all of this that we're looking at right now about becoming, if you're awaiting on, I always say awaiting on franchise owners, waiting to figure out what's going on, waiting for something to happen,
Yeah. What just happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
But that's okay. Again, sometimes you start your business and you are waiting because you don't really know exactly what to do. Maybe you didn't get the greatest coaching. I had a call the other day with a young lady, and she was, talking about maybe she wasn't getting the coaching she needed. And I said, well, then become the coach you wish you had. I said, that's really what it becomes, I had some great leaders that I was able to mentor, not all of them in my organization. You know what I mean? But I learned from Cullen and I are not in the same team. So many people thought Dennis and I were on the same team. Dennis and I, we were on the team. We were on the Market America team. But we were not in a financial line together. And you got to become that person that you really, really wish you had right now if you don't have them. Stop.
That's right.
If you let your mind start saying, if I had Cullen as my person, I'd be so great. Then you're not going to get to where you want to get. You have to say, I'm going to become like him. I'm going to learn from him, or I'm going to learn from all the different great leaders. So then you can become that stable unfranchised owner. And as Cullen said, I love stable unfranchised owners. They're great. They're doing the things they want to do. They're achieving what they want to achieve. But then sometimes something happens. And you know what? I'm hoping that happens for you tonight. Sometimes what happens is all of a sudden you say, wow, I want to take the next step. I want to go all in for the next 90 days. And you become the success story we're bringing on stage at International Convention. And we're talking about it. And that's what we call where you become a go now, where you go from stable to go now, or even you can jump it and go right from waiting to go now if you want to, but we know you can do it.
Jim, I always say that no one in the history of what we're doing with Market America, and especially right now, is ever going to have a legitimate complaint about not having enough coaching or support or, information and technology. I mean, with all the tools we have in our toolbox, ultimately, somebody who's becoming the leader is going to look in the mirror and say, you know what? any excuse I can come up with is just me having a lack of belief in myself. I need to be able to look at, and if you're having a hard time believing yourself, and we got to have a pep talk or something, then, call your senior partner and let's get that done. But in the end, you got to believe in yourself. Trin and I love watching American Idol, Jim. At the end of the day, it's 11 o'clock at night and we're watching the recordings on that. And you look at these kids that are so talented, but the reality is that these kids are no different than unfranchised owners. Cause I mean, we're all just like big kids, first of all, but secondly, it's because who really believes and has the posture and can, carry the audience to where they like in the song with the person. And it's the same thing as you build a business, as we're building a business, we're having the posture and the belief and the conviction and all that. We have all the tools at our fingertips in order to grow an unfranchised, but yet it's easy. It's so easy to play the victim and say, well, I don't have this or that or whatever it is. Doesn't matter what you say there. Okay. Am I going to be the victim or am I going to play the victor? I think is the mentality victor, right? As a leader. That's it, you guys.
Love that. That's it. And your timing's everything in your life, right? It really depends on you. We could do our best job that we could do in the world tonight, Cullen. But if someone gets off of tonight and something drastic happens in their life, maybe they can't overcome that immediately and take the role they want to. I know a lot of people who will. They'll overcome. Man, Eric Giroux, Cullen. Let's talk about a leader. A lot of you got to see Eric at World Conference, and he is just, to me, he is a leader. He's an example of overcoming so many. Every time I think about I'm tired or I have an excuse, I think about what he has to do every day. Many of you saw me, he was in a wheelchair at convention, and what he talked about, what it takes to just get there. And the truth of the matter is timing is everything, but it becomes a mental timing, meaning there becomes a time where you say, I don't care what happens, I'm going to get there. I don't care how hard it gets, I'm going to get there. That to me has always been the timing. When you make the decision, nothing can stop you, no matter what happens to you or about you or around you, you will get there.
Yeah. And one tip I'll give to those of you that are really moving and shaking and you're, popping pin levels, and we have a lot of you making that happen, is that even when Trinity and I were growing, as a personal story, I remember when we're in the thick of it with the 5 kids and school stuff and sporting events and this and that. And I was on the school board. I was a local coordinator in Chicago. I was the basketball coach of the junior high basketball team. But the whole thing was I had to balance it all. I had great assistance within the basketball thing. I didn't want to be the coach. They asked me to be the coach. And so I thought, okay, can I impart some leadership on these kids? Was my whole mindset. Can they be better than hopefully they were when we started the season? That would be great. I think we won 1 game in the first season, but we had magic moments that happened. But here's the key. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because I was still at the seminars. I was still at the UBP. Trinity and I divided and conquer sometimes, but at the end of the day, we bring all these people onto the team and then be gone, or you don't see us somewhere. That never happened with Trinity and I, or Jim and Lisa, or anybody, in my opinion, who's a great leader with the company, because we lead organizations and we lead people outside of organizations. Like you said, Jim, people are always watching us, whether we think they are or not.
Yeah. And you said something earlier, Cullen, I want to repeat, sometimes as a leader, you do it because you want it done right. You were talking about the GMTSS. We live in a condominium complex here in Scottsdale, and I just got my paperwork to run for the board on it. And Lisa's like, because I was complaining about a number of things, I think they sent it to me. and Lisa said, you're going to put one more thing on your plate. And I said, my entire life has been involved with the GMTSS, because if I didn't like the way it was going to be done, I had to either step up or shut up. So I've tried to step up, and that's what leaders do. Step up and do things to take care of it, right?
100%, Jim. That's it. Talk's cheap at the end of the day. So let's talk about effective imprinting. So number one, we're all going to start by making a decision in order to do things the unfranchised way. We want to be consistent. We want to be persistent, and we want to keep our funnel full, always
Yes.
adding possibilities to our names list as we're going out to approach people. And the number one key within all this, you guys, is do not ever wait on franchise owners' timing in order to go and build your business. We got to continue. It happened to me recently, Jim. I'm guilty. I mean, I had a couple people in the hopper and they're ready to go. And then it was like, all of a sudden we got to wait a second. And it was a legitimate wait where, one of the people's moms, and she's got, all of a sudden a renal failure and there's some health challenges. And I think he's going to be the donor for his mom. So it's all legitimate, but at the same token, I can't wait on their timing. And what it was full speed ahead, Jim. And then all of a sudden it was like, and I'm like, oh, now what? I'm like, oh, so, but you know what? That's why I needed to have more possibilities. I've got a couple. That's why we keep adding the possibilities, guys, because ultimately someone's timing is going to be right now. And that's going to keep the momentum growing in your business as you're imprinting correctly.
And again, that's being on offense, right? You know what I mean? You're doing right. Yep. I muted myself for a second because I could hear my dog barking in the background. I didn't want that to disturb what you were saying. So you stay on offense with that. Don't wait for anybody. And everything we have is in the basic five. I was talking to someone again the other day, and as she was telling me what she wasn't getting from her leadership, my first question: have you been to an NUOT? Have you been to a basic five? Guess what the answer was, Cullen?
Nope.
No. And real sweet person, but I said, you got to take that. They can't do it all for you. You've been involved in the business a good chunk of time, and everything we do is in the basic five: attitude and knowledge, goals and action plan review, retailing, prospecting, qualifying, sponsoring, follow up in the ABC patterns of building depth. It is all there. And I am going to make a recommendation I'm very strong on, and that is to get back to basic fives on a regular basis. Don't take it. This is not a one and done program. This is a continual learning. And, Scott Grogan is the director of our training system with what we do. And I'll tell you what, Scott is updating these on a regular, because there's always so much changing in this day and age. The basics stay the same, but you'll learn something new every time. And my thought process, Cullen, has always been, if I learn one new thing when I attend an event, if you learn one new thing tonight, this was a huge win for you. Because if I can learn one new thing every time I go, that's going to add up to 100 things in a very short period of time. I'm going to be that much better.
Could not agree more on all of that. And so as we're imprinting, as we're leading by example, it all starts with building out base 10, folks. And of course, you're developing your solid 10 customer base or more. Of course, you want to go more, but we want to get to that 10. I'm always encouraging people, how fast can you get people to that 10? Because your mission and your vision and all of that around new people should be, how fast can you get them their 10 customers, and how fast can I get them to executive coordinator? That should be your mindset as you're bringing people on the team, so long as that's their mindset. So, my goal is I love to get people their 10 customers in their first 30 days, and let's get you to executive coordinator by the end of your first 90 days. Does that sound great to you? And you got to sell them on it. And they say, no, I'd like to go slower than that. Most people are going to say, no, that sounds amazing. Yeah. And now you're leading them on it. And I think too many people are letting the person tell them what they want to do. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to tell us what their goal is, but we got to direct them on what's realistic and how fast we can go. And then we can always back it down if we need to, folks. But just know, as you build out to 10 customers, then we want to get those customers leading to other customers, because satisfied customers can become your best unfranchised owners as we retail to recruit. So as you see the RCs on there, these are the referred customers from other satisfied customers. So the fortune's in the follow-up there. Bottom line, we're going to build out base 10, 7 strong, an organization. As you grow that, everybody's focused on getting to everybody producing the 500 BV each. And of course, that's not just what you're using personally. It's also what we're selling to end consumers and building that customer base. Retail profit's king, right, Jim? I mean, at the end of the day, even if you're trying to get somebody going fast and they're not really leading you to the people quick enough on the building out the 7 strong, we all know that retail and the customers and the satisfaction builds that armor up on the people to where it's going to hold them in the business because they're at least profitable. Maybe it's paying for their auto ship. It paid for their seminar ticket that's coming up. That's the key, right?
I wish it was base 30, Cullen, because people need to have as many customers as they can have. Don't stop with 10. And we've got the tools to do it now. I was going to reach for this. I was trying not to get up. But I mean, if I go into I'm just going to grab a couple of these right now, but you can see I am loaded to bear and handing these puppies out like crazy. I've got, whoops, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got all my trial size things here. And I am handing them out everywhere we go. I've gotten to the point I feel like I can't, maybe I should have had one at the pool, when I was there talking to that guy, just giving him one, because having those sample packs, how easy does that make retailing now? And if we can go from 10 customers to 15 to 20. You said this perfect. I used to do where I would take and I'd write out the expenses for our business. And my goal was to teach people on the team how to retail enough that their retail profit covered every expense they had to building a great business, and then profit on top of it as they built more and more over time.
Hey, throw it in the chat, guys. We got Jim and I get a little excited sometimes if you haven't picked up on this. So, but we want you to throw samples all over. It's all great. Throw in the chat. What has been your favorite trial size market? Which one have you had the most success with? Because I know Jim and I and the whole sales team, we've been monitoring this and looking at those of you that are handing them out. And I'm telling you right now, we had somebody who's been in our business for over a decade, Jim, and she came to me and says, trial size marketing, started handing them out, and instantly was getting orders. As soon as people got them, they tried them and they started ordering. She says, I can't believe how simple this is.
Yeah.
But again, she was disengaged. She was stable for a while. Right. She was nervous about this, but once I walked her through a few steps, she was like, that's so simple. I said, here we go. So I think people overcomplicate some of the things that we're doing,
Cullen, especially again, now that the world is opening up a lot more and people can hand them out. That's about us. And then put it in the marketing app. Wow. All of a sudden I'm getting notifications. They're getting the emails. I'm like, I didn't send an email, but there's 4 that just went out, as we know. I'm like, I'm the king of follow-up because I knew how to put them into my marketing app, guys. And I do want to say this to everybody. You guys get it. You're on the different presentations, you know it. But you got a lot of teammates who may have been distant for a while, and they may get a little bit nervous about what you're talking about. So like Cullen said, you may have to coach them up a little bit on how to use the samples or how to use some of the marketing app. If you do, it'll come back to you 100-fold because it is so good for them.
Absolutely. And Jim, what about for those people that have, some people, as we know, are so literal on every little detail that some of them might be even thinking to themselves, and I know this is something you and I talked about, so I'm going to bring it up for some of these very literal people, but I'm sure it's none of you watching live. It may be somebody watching on the replay, but some people are so literal. It's just like, but I want to be go now, but I can't show the plan on Wednesday night because I have to go on the master UFO session with Jim and Cullen. But it was the only time my prospect could meet was 8:00 Eastern on Wednesday night. I'll be like, okay, like this is why we record them. You got to show the plan. We got to do the business, right?
We love all of you are on here. You make our night with your comments, with the things you're saying. It makes us so happy. But here's what we would really like. We'd like to have all of you showing the plan right now. We hope you're with us because you know what? You already did some before. You're taking a little break. We're having some fun together. You're learning a little bit. But if it ever comes down to result producing activity, selling a product, selling a plan, do that and watch the replay like Cullen said on something like this. That's the way we're going to really move on this. Okay.
That's it, you guys. So the time is now. The time is now to commit, be all in, be the unfranchised owner that you would want to follow? I think that's a great litmus test, Jim, is that simple question is, and it's not about perfection. It's not about, do I know everything? It means, would I follow me from a heart standpoint, knowing that I am going to do my best job possible to lead each person that I bring in individually, but also my team? Am I going to do my best to lead them to the information? That's the key element. I mean, we had somebody today that was asking us a real specific question on, you know, what the needle-free serum and this ingredient or that ingredient. And Trinity and I both looked at each other, Jim. We kind of scratched our heads. Great. Let us look on the website. Let us see. And then you take them to the website. But I don't know everything about every product, every ingredient, you know, but I know how to find the answers. That's right.
You don't need to. Lisa and I are big retailers. We sell multiple thousands per month of product and sometimes in a week, but not because we're the greatest on product, because we're willing to talk to people and we don't know the answer. We're really honest. We say, we don't know it. I can get it for you. And with all the technology and all the teammates we have in this world right now, what a great way to be able to do it. You can do the same thing. Don't get caught. Don't get paralysis from analysis, team. Go out and make it happen and become a master unfranchised owner. I know you're the people doing it because you're on here and you're watching this. Make that part of what your team's doing. Imprint it, as we talked about, right, Cullen? Imprint that in throughout the organization. It's what we do. It's what we go for. I saw one of my teammates today wrote a post. He hit Master UFO. He said, I have gone for this every quarter since I've started, and I finally got it. Tim Goggins, so proud of you for hitting.
Way to go, buddy. Tim.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what it is. You go for it until you hit it, right?
That's it. That's it. Hey, and if you would follow you, put a 1 in the chat. And if you're somebody who hit Master UFO this quarter, or you're right on track to hitting it and we're almost done, but if you're hitting it, throw that in the chat too. Put MUFO. And if you were just right there, like Jim said, it's okay. Next quarter, you're mastering, you're getting better. That's the key. Always continuing to grow. So one other area we wanted to point out too is make sure each and every one of you, we might be talking Master UFO, Jim, and some people might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great. What in the heck are they even talking about? Well, just know when you go into your unfranchised.com and you go underneath reports and management, and then we go underneath Master UFO, you can track your personal progress. So even if you're not sure exactly where you're at, I want everybody to go in there and see where you're at, just so you know what the report looks like and see what it takes to hit it. It's just doing the business. And then the secondary part of that is there's another report right next to it that's called Potential Master UFO Report. And this will show your business partners that have the potential to be hitting Master UFO. And then their name will pop up in the report, and you can click on to see the report. It'll show you where they're at. And then you may be able to pop them a call. Matter of fact, especially if you are a leader on this and you have an organization, I highly suggest that you go in and look at the potential one, because you could have a few right on the cusp and they may not know it, but you reach out to them, because we still have we're down to the wire, but you want to reach out
24
to them
hours,
say, hey,
Cullen, you can make a lot happen. You can make it happen.
Let's go.
You know, and then on top of all that, by the way, 53 challenge, you know, we got, let's see, I'm pointing my man right here. We've got our Dennis Frank, stay focused, stay the course, 53 challenge. I know everybody who's on here has committed to this, because you're the champion spending the time. Our goal now is to get the people who are on the fence doing it a little and ready to do it, you know. And again, what are we gonna monitor, Cullen? We're gonna look at the newly sponsored qualified UFOs. We're gonna look for new BV sales, first time purchase of a product by a new customer, existing customer. We're gonna see who exposed the unfranchised business plan. Now that's the MPCP part of it. So I know there's a lot of people doing part 1s, part 2s. And in fact, Elizabeth Weber and I were on the phone. She goes, I just want to be 100% clear. She goes, that's the part 2s, right? I said, you got it, Elizabeth. Part 2s, where when we show the numbers, that's the one we're talking about. And then personal orders from partner stores, calculated by order, not individual item. So if you're ordering from chewy.com for your dogs, that's going to be an order. If you're ordering from wine.com for your kids, your adult children, then that's going to be in order. And then the last thing is new registered preferred customers, whether they place an order or not, it means we've set them up, excuse me, as a new customer. And remember, everything with this will be on leaderboards. I've been going through these this week. I am so excited. They're going to start coming out in about 10 days, because they won't happen until after the first week is done, where you'll see these leaderboards live. 11 people in each country per each category, and 53 people worldwide with it. And so here's what I want to tell you, though. One of my goals is not to get people so focused on top 11. That's great. If you make top 11, top 53, you are crushing it. You're like me. You're the person who wants to get after it. You're competitive. You want to see your name up there. But what if you do 20% better than you would have done without being on the challenge? You are 100% a huge winner. If you do that, you are doing great. And one of my goals, Dennis always would say, stay focused and stay the course. And to me, start this, get going with it, get better at it. Send a reminder on your phone to turn it in every Saturday, your accountability team, and stay the course with it. That's the key. No matter good, bad weeks, what you're doing, hold yourself accountable and stay the course while you're doing this. This is why we set up accountability teams as part of this. Remember, it's your individual numbers that are monitored, but you have to be part of a team to be able to do that.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to mention too on that, Jim, is for those of you that have that perfectionist gene, unfortunately, we don't have a supplement for that yet. So take a deep breath and just realize that it's not about perfect. It's not about, hey, I don't even know exactly how to do everything on the computer. Just get with the team and just know that it's more about your individual productivity. The team is talking and sharing with each other. But that's the number one thing that I'm getting from people, Jim, is it's the people that are always wanting to do everything so perfect and yet don't want to screw something up. Or what if I have a bad week? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's a year long. Like, there's no such thing as perfect, come on.
I remember, I obviously had used Zoom. You and I talk. Cullen teaches me a lot of things. I told him my desk is colonized now.
Oh, come on.
I've got all these things, but my wife laughs because when we had to get on Zoom a whole bunch and really start doing stuff, she's like, "Are you ready for this?" I said, "Absolutely not. Let's go, baby." Because the way it works is you got to do it just like the business to figure out if you're going to be good at it or not, and to get better. And I just said, I'm not great at this, but I know if I screw up, there'll be somebody I can call who's going to help me, and I'll get through it. And you know what? I know the people will know I'm doing my best. It's the same with you guys. It's the same with you guys. And make sure, we're going to be doing these sessions again, Cullen, on Wednesdays at 8:00, right?
That's right. Wednesday at 8:00, starting next Wednesday, April 6th, will be our first session, you guys. It's going to be incredible. We're not only identifying people that we had do them last session, but also we're reaching out to other leaders within the Market America organization. Some of you may be getting a call from one of us at some point. If you're red hot and rolling and you're making it happen, or if you're on the leaderboard, we're definitely going to be recognizing people on the leaderboard. But again, it boils down to, Jim, that, one of the number one things I've learned from you is, like, your fast track is always about do something. And if we do something and then we're going to be moving in the right direction, because not about perfection, it's about progress. And that's what you guys are all about. Listening.
Wow. Repeat that, Cullen. That was good. It's not about perfection.
Not about perfection. It's just about progress. That's it. Good. Step by step. That's how we all do it. No such thing as perfect people in my world. And I know Trinity and I building this. I mean, if people only knew how unperfect we were and how many mistakes we had made. But again, guys, your heart's in the right spot. A leader's heart is in the right spot. So you have a strong why, you have a passion for helping people. You're in the right place at the right time with the right vehicle that's proven to work for those who are taking action. And so what if your income increases by an extra $1,000 a month, or maybe a year from now, it's an extra $5,000 a month? You should be pumped about that. but it's also leading your family. It's leading your community. It's showing people what's possible as they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. So be the hope in the world, bring a smile to people's lives, and the rest will fall into place.
Absolutely. Cullen, been wonderful to be on with you tonight. Thank you for everything you do and for your passion you bring to it, and for the happy that comes out. I love to see that. And we're really looking forward to all of you having a great time with the 53 challenge, and also staying part of our Master UFO program. Remember, we want this to every week. We're going to be talking about what we can do. What can we do better? Get your new teammates on. Call the people. If you're not on a team, call your teammates. Get on an accountability team for the Master UFO, for the 53 challenge. If you've got people on your team you haven't reached out to, reach out to them. Just take the time and care enough to spend some time on the phone. It's been a great Wednesday night, best part of my day. I appreciate all of you. Cullen, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you all on the leaderboard. How's that sound?
That's it. It's going to be awesome. And make sure every one of you have your tickets into our 30th. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, Jim, but I got to bring it up. Make sure you guys are locked in on that, because the more that Jim and I are hearing of what's already being planned behind the scenes, I'm telling you, not only is it going to be a ton of fun, but it's going to be business building, and it's going to take your guests to the next level of wanting to be an unfranchised owner if they're not already, but also help you grow your business even faster. That's what it's always been about for all of us, you guys.
That's what we got to build hard now, Cullen, because we got to build fast so we can get the people there with us for this event, because that event is going to change lives for a lot of people. It's going to change mental attitude. It's going to change the way they think and what they do, and it's going to help you build your business. So first, again, let's talk leadership. You got to be going. You have to have your ticket in your hand. You need to have an extra ticket. And second, you got to go out and build so that you're bringing the people with you. We're looking forward to it. That was great. Thanks for bringing that up, Cullen. All right, everyone, have a great evening. And again, we'll see you very soon. Take care.